Alright, is this filming? Okay. Hey everyone, I'm back with another video gaming, kind of retro gaming. The last video was about a joystick combination that I had. I'll put a link to that. And that was like a dual joystick piece that had two USB cords and you could plug that into any PC or PS3, and that would allow you to have double joysticks. On a recent trip to Asia, I was on Aliexpress one fine evening, and I had actually found something that takes that one step further, and I want to show you guys what that is. This here is another double joystick unit, and I'm going to unbox this. This was from Aliexpress as well. However, as you can see, it's much more, it's much larger than the other unit, the shipping packaging here. And from what you can see here, it's a self-contained box with two joysticks in it. And it has 6 buttons on either side, a start button for player 1, a start button for player 2, and a credit button. You'll see later that I wired this a little differently, but that will be a bit of a surprise. So what I wanted to show you was this, from doing some internet research, is actually sort of a modern day retro supergun. And what's a supergun? Well, a supergun is one, I'm sure the purists will beat me over the head about this, but it's a unit that simulates a joystick, two joysticks, a trackball, double trackballs, and possibly even a steering wheel. And I would assume that they used it in some kind of test bed environment when testing actual video game motherboards, when the motherboards came out, and the system boards were all on chips and possibly CD-ROMs later, the NoMe units. But this allowed a joystick type of interface, and it allowed users to have the full arcade experience, but in their home, in the convenience of their own home, essentially giving them the freedom of having an entire arcade hardware. So you have a board, you have a joystick, you have a control panel, but you don't need the arcade cabinet. Now, that's really enticing for a lot of users, I'm sure, as you can tell, with like a modern decor, contemporary decor in your home or in your man cave, having something that brings back the feel of going head to head with someone else, like with a friend of yours, and just kind of running through some awesome Street Fighter combos and putting them down. It's really satisfying, opposed to kind of going ha 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 over your little headset saying that I smoked you over the internet. Superguns are kind of cool in that they encapsulate most of the layout here in the interface. But what I want to show you is this one. Again, from GZ Gary. I want to call him Gary on AliExpress. And this unit here, as you can see, it has 2 locks. So you kind of got to do the Mission Impossible 1, 2, 3, and open. And what we have here, as you can see, we have the AC inlet here, which is similar to like any PC. A really over-duty illuminated rocker switch, a single speaker, and a hole that's been cut out here. Now, what does that hole do? Interesting. I'm sure it's not the first time you heard that question, but just to kind of give you an overview of the top panel of this piece, we have the buttons all here and the harnesses, which have been nicely wrapped. There are more than enough wire here and loom. And as you can see, that loom continues on into the case here where it's been neatly wrapped up. This is probably, I want to say it's roughly about 2 feet, maybe. So 2 feet of cable, maybe a little bit more than that. But getting further into this, we have a VGA cable. It's a standard VGA cord that's used for your old VGA monitors. We have a bag of spares, which is kind of cool because the other joysticks also gave out a bag of two spare buttons, which I thought was really neat, as well as micro switches. So speaking to the quality and the durability of this, I mean, I think it's probably over-designed so that it can be used for actual fighting game purposes. What we have here is an instruction manual as well as a sticker here that says Pandora's box. And this sticker gave me an awesome idea, which I implemented later. But as well, enjoy life with quality. So you have the Pandora's box, a little manual here. It's pretty cool. So getting deeper into this box here, what we do have is a power cord. Now this is for the European / Hong Kong, China AC adapter. It has a switching power supply in there, which is universal. So even if you use this with an adapter, or if you decide to use a North American power plug, as you can see, that power plug is pretty common, right? So you use a North American power plug, guess what? It's going to work just fine. And finally, what we have inside the box here is a HD version of the Pandora's box. So that's 520 games that, and I would say a good 100 of them are like King of Fighter and Street Fighter variants and that kind of Metal Slug variants and that kind of thing. A speaker, which has been wired into the Pandora's box, to the edge connector, as well as a switching power supply, and the power supply is universal. Now, this entire cabinet looks like those guys haven't really picked up on MDF yet, because it is really plywood here, and it has a real heft to it. But again, noting from the joysticks, fantastic quality here with all the buttons. Again, they're more of those thin line. I want to call them like the convex style buttons, which feel a little lighter, and they should, because there's a lot less moving parts here. I mean, if you take a look, I don't have one here with me, but if you take a look at the hap controls, typical concave arcade buttons, there's a lot more plastic moving around there, and then you're hitting that micro switch. These ones are more of a newer style with the micro switch built in, and that gives for a lot faster of an arcade feel. So again, fantastic product here. And I do really want to show you guys how this works, and I guess I'll show you that in the next video. But kind of taking a look at the quality, the whole unit itself has this really cool little overlay here that, again, because it's sort of universal, the Pandora's box allows for, like, I think it has a bunch of classic games, as well as focusing on the neo-geo style games, and a lot of the Street Fighter, Capcom, like late 80s, early 90s stuff. And the buttons have been set up so that you have your punches and your kicks, as well as the 4-button neo-geo format. So you have, I think it's red, yellow, green, blue, I think something like that. So it uses these 4 buttons here for the neo-geo. And again, like that's allowing both players to play simultaneously at the same time and to have full control over everything. So here it is, again, the entire Pandora's box set up in a supergun. Now I know you're probably thinking, like, what am I going to do with this thing? Well, I want to show you here. The Pandora's box, or at least this version of it, incorporates a VGA connector on the side. So it has a typical 15-pin DIN VGA out, and that's where you can plug in one end of this cable and plug the other end in to, say, a television monitor, television up there or behind me there. And as long as they have VGA input, the Pandora's box works just fine. Now, I'm going to show you a quick video next of what I did with this unit. It's basically kind of coming off of this awesome sticker here, which really reminded me of those control schemes that they put up on arcade cabinets. So this is again a little quick and dirty review here, but I would have to say that this thing feels close to 10 pounds, maybe 8-9 pounds in total. It's a solid box. I assume that possibly in China, I heard arcades are getting like more, they were really popular with that emerging second middle class, but I think now they're starting to pan out as internet is getting a little bit more unregulated, I don't know if it's unregulated, but it's not being as controlled as it. So things like Xbox and PS3 are going to start making their way into middle class homes in Asia. So anyways, If you want the retro gaming experience though, without having to rearrange your room, or you have a friend of you and a friend are really big retro game enthusiasts, and you don't want, like, you love a lot of those old games that bring back those memories, this is a fantastic piece that you can just throw up on the coffee table, and you can have a couple rounds, or kill off a couple beers and chips, while at the same time playing some retro games that really bring back those memories. And to me, that's fantastic. So, alright, we're going to go off to the next video now, and I'm just going to show you really quick what I did with this arcade hardware here. Again, a lot of the arcade, it's a Jamma harness, or a slightly modified Jamma harness, as well as all the switches and everything like that are standard. The joysticks are standard. I'm going to show you what I did with that.